Welcome to episode 11 of Dalek Bumps Question Time. JSP asks, which of the History of the Dalek sets and figures is your favourite? This is a difficult question, as I've really liked all the History of the Dalek sets and figures that have been released so far. There were a few duds here and there, such as the Death of the Daleks figures having a paint error on the midsection, and the odd decision to have the Revelation of the Dalek set feature two Necros Daleks instead of a Necros Dalek and a Grey Dalek. But other than that, all of the History of the Dalek sets have been really good. My favourites are probably the sets that included new features. The Mutant Scoop Dalek in the Power of the Dalek set, the hinged dome drones in the first Planet of the Dalek set, and the brand new sculpt for the Five Doctors Dalek are all fantastic. Dalek Sutherland asks an additional query to that, with the question, which History of the Dalek sets would you like to see in the future? Personally, I'm really hoping that the History of the Dalek sets continue to cover not only the new Who Dalek stories, but also some Dalek stories from expanded media as well. I'd really like to see a re-release of the Paradigm Daleks with their metallic colour scheme, as well as official releases of Chibnall era Dalek figures such as a Defence Drone, a Death Squad Dalek and a Dalek Executioner. I'd also really like to see some Daleks from the novels, the comics, and of course Big Finish see releases later on down the line. Some good candidates for easy repaint releases include the Dalek Prime Strategist, Davros in his white chair, Dalek X, a Dalek Alpha re-release, the Jubilee Dalek, or one of the Dark Eyes era drones. Several Big Finish writers and artists have expressed a desire to see their Dalek variants represented in figure form, and it would be great for collectors if character options started delving more into the expanded universe of Dalek characters once the new Who wave of History of the Dalek sets is concluded. Buck asks, if you were to see a Big Finish story animated or remade in live action, which would it be? There are lots of possible contenders here. Spare Parts is an obvious choice, as it's not only a fantastic Cyberman story, perhaps even the best depiction of the Mondasian Cybermen specifically, but also because it's a good starting point for new listeners of Big Finish, so it makes the ideal choice for the first Big Finish animation. Blood of the Daleks is another obvious choice for similar reasons. However, one audio story that I think would be really interesting to see in live action would be Master from Big Finish's Villains trilogy. This audio gives us a fascinating insight into the history of the Doctor and the Master's friendship, and both Sylvester McCoy and Jeffrey Beavers could potentially return to play these characters in live action for this story, as it is primarily dialogue focused, and thinking about it, it would also make an excellent stage play. And finally, Just an Average Gamer asks, do you think any version of Dalek could be defeated by a Cybus Cyberman? Based on what we've seen of the Cybus Cybermen's capabilities, I think that most Dalek variants up to the end of the Dalek Wars could probably be defeated by them, though the Cybermen would have to rely on strength in numbers. Their energy blasters are useless against Time War era Daleks, but with concentrated fire they would likely be able to damage or destroy standard Silver or Grey Dalek warriors. Once the Mavellan War broke out, however, the Daleks began to rapidly adapt their frontline soldiers and optimise them for warfare against mechanical lifeforms, meaning that the Cybus Cybermen would likely stand much less of a chance, and while their weaponry might still be effective against Imperial or Renegade Daleks from the Dalek Civil War, the jamming devices employed by both factions during the Civil War, as well as their more durable polycarbide armour, would mean that the chances of a Cyber victory are significantly diminished. If a Cybus Cyberman could catch a Dalek unawares, however, their electro attack and incredible strength would likely allow them to cause significant damage to the Dalek casing at close range. And that's all we have for this episode of Dalek Bumps Question Time. Which History of the Daleks figures are your favourite? Would you like to see any of the Big Finish audio stories animated or remade in live action? Do you think a Cybus Cyberman could defeat an Imperial Dalek? Let me know in the comments below.
Don't forget to click below to subscribe to
Dalek Bumps.